I wanted to throw some questions out to the guys. Just basketball, obviously related questions with the Sixers, some individual questions, some team-related questions overall.
Well, it appears we're a visual-only show right now, so that's according to the people. We're good to go now.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yep, I saw it and just kept pushing through as we saw.
Wanted to make sure that we didn't lose Devon's beautiful intro for his show that Derek and I are flying completely blind for. That's all.
Well, I'll start it over for the people who could not hear. And just simply pointed out with Derek Bodner, Kyle Neubeck, I'm Devon Givens, Andrew Frazier, and for Bree. On this Monday, as we get closer to the start of training camp, media day, preseason basketball for the 76ers. And I had some blind questions to throw at the guys here on this Monday as we start this week off. We plan so much on all of these different topics that we want to talk about. And look, we are 5 days a week. We have hour shows. Sometimes they go longer than that. And we have so many different things. So while we have talked about quite a few, wanted to throw a few different wrinkles at the guys. So we had to bust out the visors for a buy-sell type of show here today where I wanted to ask the guys and ask you in the chat, and you guys contribute as always, how you feel about specific things with this Philadelphia 76ers team going into the 2024-25 campaign. So with the visors back, throwing out these questions at the guys, and get this one started as we begin on this Monday. You look like you're about to say something.
Normally when we do stock report, it was like in the past, it was like a 15-minute segment.
Yeah.
Having to wear this ridiculous freaking hat for the full hour is going to be torture. But I love the audience and I want to put on a good show. So
look at Jeffrey Stewart is already in the chat, said the stock visors are back with 4 exclamation points. 4 exclamation points. That's 4 15-minute segments worth of exclamation points. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yes, we do look like bank tellers, Prophet. That is sort of the point. Referring to accountants.
That's the entire point.
Yeah, it's, as I was just talking before the show.
I know my fashion's bad, but I'm not wearing this for a fashion statement.
Trying to look like the parody of Ness from Making the Band that was on Chappelle's show. So
I love that he did that, by the way.
Here we are.
Of making fun of himself on the Chappelle show. It was great. All right, let's get started. And we had Tyrese Maxey as the face of this podcast today for a reason, because I did want to start with him. With so many people expecting a big jump, us included, in his overall play, his overall production, and what he did from last season, close to 26 points, just a hair under 26 on the season, 6.2 assists. And we know about the outside shooting, which has improved year after year after year. The one thing that we always talk about, though, from you to us here and many others, is his playmaking overall. So I did want to start with a number. Why it is buy and sell, and we look like bank tellers, so hey, great numbers. We'll talk about TrueMark a little bit later. We'll have these on for TrueMark as we get to them a little bit later. But I wanted to start off and ask the guys a question. And since we are in this frame right here with Derek, I'll begin with Derek. At 6.2 assists last season, are you buying or selling that Tyrese Maxey will be over 7 assists, whether it's 7, 7.5, 8, whatever it might be? Are you buying that the playmaking improves so much, especially with the level of talent that Daryl Morey, Elton Brand in the front office has assembled this offseason, that Tyrese Maxey is going to take yet another leap, not just with the playmaking in general, but the assist numbers do go up where we see it as a real thing?
So I'm taking the under on 7. In fact, I will go one step further. I think he averages fewer assists this year than he did last year.
Damn it, you're standing on my corner already.
Okay.
And I don't even say that. He might be
I went 7. He went under the 6.2.
Going under 6.2.
Okay.
And I'm not even saying like he will have a worse year because of it. In fact, he could take a pretty substantial jump in playmaking and still have fewer assists. I just think he's going to have fewer opportunities. Not so much just because of Paul George and that he will ISO more than Tobias Harris did, but he will. But there will be more two-man game between Paul George and Joel Embiid. And because of that, I think Tyrese Maxey's touches will go down a little bit. What I want more from Tyrese Maxey isn't so much I'm not going to focus on the assist number like I did last year. And last year, I took the over on 6 assists. I was pretty bullish on the fact that he might do that. Kind of snuck in there at the end. I think through the first half of the season, he was like 6.5, little above that. Came down a little bit. But what I want him to do is make the most of the opportunities that he has, to make the most out of the advantage that he has created. It might be a little fewer in total, but I want him to make more out of those opportunities and really to create some tougher advantages, some not obvious advantage, because I do think he's going to have, last year they spammed DHOs and pick and rolls with Embiid and Maxey. That was their best action. Now they have another complementary playmaker. Because of that, like I said, I think Tyrese is going to have the ball a little less, not a lot less. I'm not saying he's going to average 4 assists or anything like that, but he might take 5.7, 5.8, somewhere in that range. Won't be a huge drop off, but I do want him to, like I said, start making some of the more advanced reads and progress as a playmaker so that he will create more opportunities per touch, even if his total touches go down a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm with Derek on this one. I'm mad that he stole my thunder here. So I'll try to go in a little bit of a different direction. Some of it is just that you're going to have a true third star this year, right? And someone that you want to run the offense at times. Maybe not, Paul George is not LeBron or James Harden as a playmaker, but he's someone who's going to play with the ball in his hands. He will be a guy in pick and rolls, guy in dribble handoffs with Joel Embiid and, with some of their backups as well. So that'll take some touches away in the starting lineups. We think, or at least where I'm at right now, is I think Tyrese will probably be paired with Paul in some of those backup lineups. So he's not going to get away from one of the stars in those groupings. And then with all the little guards they have, sort of by default, you're going to put the ball in Kyle Lowry's hands from time to time. You're going to put the ball in Reggie Jackson's hands from time to time. And in those situations, as much as we're reluctant about the defensive weaknesses or potential defensive concerns we have with the small backcourts, that's where you can really weaponize Tyrese as that off-ball shooting threat, use his gravity, get him coming off of a pin down, get him in the corner, whatever it needs to be. And so I just think you're going to tap more into Tyrese's off-ball ability in general this season. And I think that's going to be a big key for this team, right? Is now you have both Paul George and Tyrese Maxey to move around the floor, set these off-ball screens for. That doesn't have to be, hey, Tyrese, just run 50 actions with Joel a game. It can be a little more diverse. You can see him going back into more of that scoring/shooting guard mode than we saw throughout last season. So I agree. I mean, I think we can see read progression. I think we can see maturity, game intelligence, reading the floor. I think all that can come to the forefront. And I still think he could stay, let's say, flat-ish on the assist total, just because, as Derek said, opportunities will be fewer. And so this is not like I buy improvement from Tyrese as a general concept, right? We all have seen enough at this point to say he will get better in some way. Right now, I think if we were to go one place, I don't know if this will come up later, I'd say defensively and maybe drawing free throws with the physical development that he's going through, the weight that he's put on this summer. But so I think his assists will stay flat-ish. So I'm saying I sell the idea of 7+ assists a game, but that's not an indictment of him. It's more just the reality of the team setup.
Yeah, and I think also, I think the way Kyle phrased it in terms of he might be a better playmaker and just have maybe not an increase in assist total, even a slight decrease, which I said, but I'm not thinking a major one. Like he was 3.5 assists per game the last year with Harden. In no way am I saying that. I still think 5.5 to 6.5 is sort of the range. That makes me say under 7 pretty comfortably and possibly even under his last year's total. But he could still be a better playmaker because of that. And you also might just see Joel Embiid's skill set fits so well with Paul George as well. If you're going to see a bump in assists, and I don't know whether or not, because Devon didn't share any of these questions with us beforehand, he's just throwing at him blind. I'm not sure if Embiid's assist total is going to be one of these questions. I could see an increase in Embiid's assist total just because he does pair so well with Paul George, and you might use him as a hub a little more going forward, even more so than you did last year to start the year.
So in the sake of taking it in a different direction, I'll put it on the other side of why I think that he will go over that assist total. And it's because of the guys that you mentioned, of course, with Paul George and the rest of the people that they have around. Because, all right, when we saw his numbers really go up, as you talked about earlier, he'll have 6, 7, 8 early on when Joel Embiid was out there for a good amount of that time. Embiid only played 39 games in the season, so he missed so much time that Maxey's numbers might have been a little bit higher. And while he was the secondary guy and there was no real true third guy, that responsibility fell on both of them, both Embiid and Maxey. And when Embiid went out, it was really him. It was really just Maxey. So now that he is back, and Embiid, let's just say he is healthy for the start of the season, takes a little bit off of him. Paul George is there also. And while the numbers will increase, maybe some off the ball stuff, maybe the scoring instead goes up. That was not going to be one of those questions, but you guys can throw that in there if you want. Let's say the scoring does go up from that 26 to maybe 27, and that's his average. I do think that with the people that he has around, being out there on the floor with George, where they will have those opportunities together, he is now, though, out there. And with all due respect, it's not Tobias as that second guy, as his guy on the floor.
Maybe not all due respect.
Say,
maybe like half due respect. How about that?
I didn't want to start any trouble with anybody.
I know. I'm just
likes
teasing.
Tobias Harris. But the attention.
I don't think they're watching the show at this point.
No, not them. some Sixer fans that like Tobias Harris. But with him out there, I do think that with Maxey having the ball in those spots, when he does create, and he is finding Paul George instead of Tobias Harris, there will be times where he's going to finish those.
Absolutely.
And the assist numbers are going to go up. If he's out there, Embiid's on the bench, Eric Gordon is in the lineup. He's going to have another shooter out there with him as well. And that's also depending on who may be out there as that shooter. We saw it with George Niang. We didn't see it as much last season because, again, so much attention was there. DeAnthony Melton was out, and the shooter wasn't really on the roster the way we would have liked to have seen. That's why they went and addressed the Eric Gordon part. But that's why I do lean and say, with that two-man lineup of he and George plus the others surrounding, they are going to have some athletic guys out there. Maybe the lob threat, he's not great at it, but there's a better lob finisher there for him for, let's say, here, Andre Drummond than it was with Mo Bamba, just simply because Mo Bamba just wasn't in the right spots all the time when things happen. So that's why I would lean and go more towards up, at least over the 6'2", close to the 7.
To build on your point, Devon, I think it is noteworthy, as Derek mentioned earlier, his assists were higher at the start of last season when they did have Joel Embiid. Now, some of that is just, hey, when you're playing with Joel Embiid and you pass him the ball at the elbow and he makes a few of those a game, your assist totals are probably going to go up, right, guy? Yeah. But by the same extension, if you have Joel Embiid and you have Paul George and you're the guy initiating the offense, if you run that pick and roll and the team overcommits to the middle of the floor, if that kick out goes to Paul George rather than Tobias, that's a clean look for one of the game's great spot up shooters. And so the logic of it I could see it going either way, right? The touches will dwindle. They'll use them in different ways. They have more wings now. Like, how do you use them for creative purposes? They're going to put the ball in Kelly's hand a little bit, for example, right? Because he's not a knockdown, ultra reliable shooter. He's a streaky guy, but his strength is cutting, getting to the basket, driving, getting fouled. So Kelly will get some creation opportunities as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Tyrese's role evolves. Because I think last year it was a clear, like, you are the lead perimeter guy and you will be treated that way every single game, balls in your hands. Whereas now you can experiment a little bit. We can see Tyrese is the franchise point guard of the future, right? We know he can play make at a good level, not at a great level necessarily, but can he get there and can he do it in a three-star ecosystem that frankly has less overlap than when James Harden was here, right? Where there was that, they obviously fit together and they played really well together, but there was that initial feeling out period of how do we use Tyrese and where does he fit in next to the other two? We're thinking, and we hope going into the year, there won't be really that big runway to figure it out with these three because of where they're at positionally.
And well, to your point about being better when he plays with Embiid, I looked it up while Kyle was talking. He averaged 9.3 assists per 100 possessions when playing alongside of Joel Embiid, 7.1 when he was playing without Joel Embiid. So the fact that Joel Embiid's not going to miss half of the season could just see him go above that. Well, yeah, seriously.
Knock on wood.
Could see him go above that 6.2 number just by that. Yeah. Even if he has the ball less, he might make more use of it because he's playing more time with Joel Embiid. And also, I mean, you brought up a good point. The fact that he's playing with, no due respect, with Paul George instead of Tobias Harris, and the fact that he will actually take those shots that are created and convert more of them, that could see him jump as well. So I think if you were like measuring like assists per touch, he might have more assists per touch than he did last year. And because of that, he might end up going above 6.2. We might even go above 7. But really, like I said, what I want to see the most is just, is he making the most of his playmaking opportunities? Is he making more of the advanced reads? Is he trying to make, those second level passes? Is he making more of the risky passes? Kyle mentioned it the other day. Turnovers. It's great that he does such a tremendous job of not making mistakes. I would like to see him take a few more risks. That is what I am basing his progression on more than sheer numbers. And because of that, we just don't know exactly how the touches are going to, how they're going to be spread apart.
Gene says, no due respect. So
we need to use that phrase more. Maybe that can be a regular segment. No due respect for.
So they play the Pistons like game 4, something like that. So
thumbnail text.
It'll be early. No due respect. No due respect. The beauty of it, though, before we take a quick break and we get to our next question, is he's so good and we believe so much in him that while the numbers may go down, as they pointed out, his overall development as a playmaker will be so evident as a young player in this league that he is just taking that necessary step as a playmaker for this basketball team. And while the numbers may not show it in terms of his season stats of 7, 8 assists on average, the attention that he gets, the decision-making, the smart decision-making, us doing post games, Kyle and Derek writing about it and knowing and seeing, damn, you look at the box score and he only has 5, but you know that those connected passes were there to lead to a made basket on any given possession for this basketball team. And that's how high not only us, but you are out there about Tyrese Maxey. When we come back, I'll throw the next question, starting off with Kyle when we get back on the PHLY Sixers Podcast. Buy, sell.
Always scary to start with me. Maybe you have some Monday scaries or had some Sunday scaries yesterday. I think Devon came in today.
Busy weekend.
Looked like he was a little weary after the weekend. It's easy to get stressed out, get worked up.
My guys picked me up, though. I'm good. I'm good.
On your first day of work for the week, you get through it, right? Everyone commiserates about their Monday. You go home, you choose chill, and then reach for an ice cold Coors Light, because with Coors Light, you know you're getting an ice cold beer when the mountains turn blue on the bottles and cans right as they hit that perfect temperature. We were hosting some family at my house this weekend. I had my sister in town.
Love it.
Had to go out and get some adult beverages. I won't sit here and lie and say all of them were Coors Light, but there was a selection of our friends from Coors Light in the fridge because when it's warm out, when you're going to spend some time on whether it's a back patio, you got a roof deck in the city, you're going to a beer garden, you're at a barbecue, Coors Light just, it fits in almost any summer scenario with their cold layered, cold filtered, cold package, smooth finish. You know you're getting mountain cold refreshment no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing in the summertime, even if the people from the state of Colorado don't like me very much. They do provide a quality beer for you, for me, for everybody. So when you choose to rise above it all, choose chill and choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And look, what goes better with a nice outdoor beer than protection for your eyes from shady rays? Summer's coming to an end. We got Labor Day weekend coming up. Everyone's getting sad. It's turning into pumpkin spice season, which I see Derek glaring at me, shaking his head over there. You need sunglasses all year round. It does not matter what season it is. And Shady Rays has you covered. They are an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product. 5 stars by over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays with 5 stars. Unbelievable that many people have used this product. You can't get 300,000 people to agree on basically anything, but they agree on Shady Rays. You guys have seen my pair on the set. You've seen Devon and Derek put on their separate pairs of Shady Rays. So not only are they great outside for when you need that protection for your eyes, they're great in front of the bright lights of the camera here at PHLY Studios. And I'm sure you can find a look for you that doesn't just protect your eyes, but you can look stylish while you're doing it. Plus, if those shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, no sweat. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out the best deal of the season, head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off of polarized sunglasses. It's a great deal, guys. So try for yourself. The Shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. As I saw Devon and Derek flashing phones at each other over there, I'm wondering what's going on. If I missed a...
No, I figured with that great read, of course, that you said, and you were talking about Denver and all of that stuff with the Coors Light, that we might as well let people know. They already know about Denver, Phoenix, Chicago, and here, of course, our launch last September. But we also have a new city member of the family as well, and figured we would talk about that, especially
talk about how much we all hate the Cowboys.
We all hate the Cowboys.
Right?
That's universal. That's universal when it comes to the Cowboys.
Fuck Dallas, but yay DLLS.
Exactly.
That's right.
We have a new city as part of the All-City Network family, and that is the DLLS team covering the Mavericks, the Rangers, the Cowboys. We all hate them together. And so that's there, just covering all the Dallas sports scene in Dallas, things getting underway. The launch is officially underway, and they have some great people on the basketball, not just the entire network, of course, some great people in there, but the basketball side, a few names that you might be familiar with, maybe some not paying attention to the Mavericks that you're not so familiar with, but we've been able to also check in on Denver and Phoenix and Chicago, and maybe they didn't know who we were from afar, but we got to know who they were and how great they were, and maybe they felt the same way on the outside looking into us here in Philadelphia. But we now have Dallas in the mix. Mark Stein, if you're familiar with Mark Stein,
Hall of Famer Mark Stein.
Great Hall of Famer Mark Stein as a part of it, and a guy that you two are very familiar with and a guy that you guys are close with. And Tim Cato, for the people who are not familiar with him, Tim Cato, a great NBA resource, of course, covering the league. And now
I think their whole team is
stacked.
Excellent. So I lot of love and respect for the Mavericks guys. No love and respect for anybody. No, I'm just kidding. Anybody else.
Although Jerry Jones did right by DLLS today.
Hey, listen.
CeeDee Lamb,
they have their first emergency pod on day one, by the way. So congrats to the Cowboys guys. You're getting put to work.
That's right. Hey, we don't care about the Cowboys, but you knew that at some point that they had to sign CeeDee Lamb. You might as well do it on launch day for DLLS. So folks, even though you can't stand them, give them a look, give them a listen, support, of course, the group here at All City, and congrats to DLLS and All City for yet another city getting underway here as part of the All City Network family. So that's pretty cool to see.
And that is all the love I have for Dallas for the rest of the year.
That's right.
Exactly.
I can't do it.
Exactly.
Dak Prescott stinks. CeeDee Lamb overpaid. Jerry Jones bozo.
Give plenty of love to Tim and Mark, but that's
Micah Parsons.
You might as well join the Eagles.
Might as well come to death row.
Because that's what you want to do anyway. Absolutely.
You're already making puppy dog eyes at Philadelphia every time you get a chance, buddy.
All right.
If you don't want the producer all up in the video, come on, join Howie Roseman instead of Jerry Jones.
Indeed. Although I can see him being, since he likes the media stuff, I can see him being on one of their shows. Outside of his own show, I could see him.
Well, you're not invited here, buddy.
No.
Anyway,
I do know his agent. If you
moving on to the
have more. He loves the Sixers.
That's enough Cowboys talk for a lifetime on this show.
All right, here's my question to start off with the guys, throwing it to Kyle first. I do have a question about Joel Embiid, but I'm going to throw it in a different way because, as you guys know, that last season, I didn't get a chance to start right away in September like the guys will for DLLS, getting things underway, but I did pay attention to what Kyle and Derek were talking about. And I did see them talking about Turk Smith, Ricky Council, the two-way guys, and how much they like Turk, like Ricky, but had to see him improve on a lot of different things. And as the show went along, he became a part, God bless you, of
Gotta
our
get that
show.
Rite Aid fall allergy package.
There you go. He became a part of our show.
Even the sneezes are sponsored.
Fun early, but then it meant something a little bit late where even in the postseason against the New York Knicks, we thought he should have got some time.
Yeah.
And as Ricky Council gets ready for the season, seeing him up close in Summer League, seeing the work that he was putting in, seeing where things are for him right now as a possibility of being on the floor, I do want to ask as we start things off, here on this particular question, not just for fun as part of the show, But because it's a real question of a rotational player, as Winona says, go get him, Rick. Well, go get him, Rick, be a part of the regular rotation for Nick Nurse somewhere after that. Let's just say that first 10 games of the season where we see.
So are we saying at any point after the first, or from 10 games on?
Are we saying like a consistent role?
A consistent role for this team.
I as much as I would like for Ricky to break through, I am fading any young player playing this year. I don't, and again, I said this before last season. I think last season confirmed my beliefs for the most part. Nick Nurse is not going to play young guys any more than most coaches in the NBA. Yeah. And I think given that we've said it, they have 14 guys. I legitimately think all 14, maybe not Bona, right? Like he's more of a developmental project guy. Every other guy on the roster, I believe can play right now. And I believe is probably has been given some kind of assurances about their role on the team, right? Like that's why an Eric Gordon comes here. That's why a Reggie Jackson comes here. Sure. That's why Yabusele comes here, despite the fact that we've gone over the financial limitations there. And my concern right now is that I still don't trust Ricky's shot. I don't trust it as like a regular rotation guy. Like he's put in a lot of work on it. I think it will continue to improve based on seeing some slight changes to the mechanics. I think he offers something that they need off the bench, somebody who can rebound, gives you great athleticism. He's got the NBA body you need to be a wing / pseudo four, depending on how they play the lineups. I just suspect that Nick Nurse will at least initially go elsewhere. And I think save for injuries, which very well could happen, right? They have a handful of older guys in the rotation. So there will be opportunities for him. But if I were to try to bet right now on who plays this season, I'm a little bit skeptical, mostly because of the shot. I think he can do. The other thing, I would add one more thing to that. I do think this will be the year people will focus more on his defense, right? Where he had moments where you can see the impact of his athleticism, his side-to-side speed, his strength, all that. He can stonewall guys. I think you could even see in Summer League, he is still a little bit over-aggressive. I think that manifests with guys can blow by him on closeouts. I think that he can get caught gambling from time to time. We remember the highlights, and they're great. He made some awesome plays last season. My guess is Nick Nurse will lean toward what I would say is more stability at those backup spots. And I think Ricky's still a little bit volatile, maybe a lot of bit volatile at this point in his career.
Yeah.
Selling.
No, I would certainly say no on that. And there will be periods of the year where, because of injury concerns and availability, he might play on a nightly basis, but I think that's going to be very context dependent and situation dependent. I don't think it's going to be an every night kind of thing. I sort of hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong for two reasons. One, because Nick Nurse would have to go sort of against his track record. And I think Kyle's right to bring it up, and we're bringing it up a lot on the show. At this time last year, Nick Nurse sort of he's not Doc Rivers' bump in terms of trust of playing young players. That was maybe a little bit undeserved, because Nick Nurse historically does not love to play young players, especially on a team that is hoping to contend or at least make a playoff run like the Raptors were. So I think if Ricky is playing, it's because Nick Nurse has gotten a lot of trust in him, which is great, but mostly it's because he's taken a pretty massive jump. So I hope I'm wrong, but if you gave me an over-under, I would certainly go under, or it's not going to happen. And it's just, this is a deep team. And even adding Yabu, I think Yabu is going to be ahead of him in the rotation, at least early on, to see what they have. He's 29, not a second-year player. Well, he's a third-year player, but he's more experienced because of it. Regardless, he's older, more experienced. And also, I think, like, if they go out there and try to do something at the trade deadline, I think that could probably end up impacting Ricky too. Like, either way, at the beginning of the year, probably not going to be in the regular rotation because there's a lot of other options that you want to evaluate. And at the end of the year, probably not going to be in the rotation because I expect them to go out there and be aggressive at the trade deadline. And you're certainly not going to when you say, all right, they're not going to trade for a center because you got Joel Embiid, and they're not going to trade for a short point guard because they have Tyrese Maxey. Well, it's probably going to end up being a wing Ricky size, and that's going to end up impacting his minutes. So no, I think we're probably a year away from regular rotation Ricky Council. But like I said, I hope I'm wrong.
And if he were to somehow crack through and make it into that, would it be the defense? Because as you said, you're skeptical about the shot, but the one thing that does translate that we saw last season is the defense. And if that defense really does pop and it continues to pop whenever he is out there, that at some point even Nick Nurse cannot deny that part and he has to put him out there.
Yeah, I guess I'm lower on his
back in, but apart.
I think I'm lower on his defense because look, I think getting over screens, playing physically near the point of attack, all that, I think he's good. I think unfortunately that's just not as important with the way the league is today as the off ball, the rotations, the closeouts, and I think. Not all of it is his fault, right? Because last year, guys are in and out of the lineup. The whole reason he's playing is because half the team is injured. And so if there are miscommunications, if there are issues, it's not just Ricky's fault, right? And he's a rookie. You go into it expecting that. So what I'm saying is I think if I were to change my tune before the season starts or before we get to, December, Absolutely. January, whatever it is, it would be because I saw in the preseason or early season that Ricky got a little bit of time and then was, just making more of those disciplined decisions. Because we know at the high end, he's such an insane athlete. He's going to make plays. If it's getting a steal on a passing lane, if it's jamming a guy up who's trying to come around a screen on a pick and roll, he can do that stuff. What Nick Nurse and what guys on coaching staffs pay a lot of attention to these days is everything else, because you can have the physicality and the want to. I believe that is there. Discipline and reading the game on defense takes a bit of time in the NBA. And so will he get there? I don't know. But I think if he can do that, to your point, that's probably, you can live with some, roller coaster moments on the shot if, and it's a big if he is a night to night impactful defensive player.
Unfortunately, I agree with the guys just in general. As much as I would like to see him on the floor, as much as we talk about this roster being the way that it is, the way that they put it together, it's really going to be tough for him to crack. He will get on the floor from time to time, and if he has a good week of practice or comes in one game and you can see how it just pops on the screen or pops on the floor for the coaching staff, that they'll reward him again for that next game. But I do agree with them that it's going to be tough for him to crack it. He'll be here. He'll be up with the big team, but it's going to take a lot for him to get on the floor this season.
And the other thing, like KJ, they're going to showcase at some point to try to trade him. Now, maybe they don't need to because no team is like, wow, that's a big value add KJ. Right. It's just the contract plus whatever picks you're moving him. But it would behoove them to, if you can make him just like slightly more valuable to another team, it would certainly help. So, yeah, I just think it's a very crowded rotation, and that being the case, I always fade the idea of young guys playing until we see like a legit multi-week breakthrough stretch, and I think it'll be tough for him to get one of those.
To the crowded point, they are just less desperate for his size and athleticism than they were last year. Like when you add Caleb Martin, when you add Paul George, all right, maybe they're not hyper athletes, especially Paul George at this stage of his career, but they have the size and length that they just didn't have last year. So defensively, they were desperate for him last year. He was a breath of fresh air last year. They are more well equipped to handle the size that they need to on the wings. So because of that, like the mistakes, the mental mistakes, the question marks of the shooting, it's just you have a little less appetite for it because you have other options to go to. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong because that means he's taking a massive jump. But if I had to pick an over-under, it would be under. So
we're all selling on that. We're not buying it for right now.
I would love to buy it. Again, we were Ricky's, I don't want to say supporters, Ricky advocates before basically anybody else was last year. So I hope he proves us wrong. I know he's been out in LA with a lot of those guys, scrimmaging, playing in the Rico Hines runs. He's had a busy summer. So certainly working on it and working as if he will have an opportunity this year.
And Winona says, I hope Ricky doesn't hear nothing from this pod. I hope he does. It doesn't matter coming from us, but that's the mentality that he has, that underdog, being undrafted, being doubted for his play, being able to play in the NBA. He doesn't need it from us. That's an internal thing. And of course, if he's not getting the time, that'll work out for him, where he's going to go out there, bust his tail to get out there on the floor, earn those minutes. Hopefully he does hear it and says, you know what? Let me go on the show with them anyway, talk about why I should be playing, and go out there and show and prove when
Ricky,
Nick Nurse
if you don't play and you ever want to come on and complain about not playing, the floor is yours, my friend. But we prefer if you would play.
Jay says he's working like the rent is due. Yes, he is, Jay. That's how hard that guy works. We'll talk about another guy on the other side as we keep the buy-sell conversation going on a Monday as school gets underway for a lot of kids getting started. We'll talk about more on the other side here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, and that is from our great friends. We talked about it a little bit earlier. TrueMark Financial. Well, TrueMark Financial has a great thing going on. Of course, they have their CARE Foundation, and they are hosting a charity pickleball event to raise money for financial education in our local communities. Just talked about school being back for a lot of students in the area. For those of you who were at the PHLY golf outing, you might remember our friends from TrueMark. This is to benefit their foundation and charity. We were not there, but we hope to be there on September 7th, as long as time permits for us, at Upper Dublin Sports Center in Ambler, PA, from 1:30 to 5 p.m. It's a round robin, meaning it's a fun, non-competitive event for those not named Kyle Neubeck. All certified pickleball here, though, with the pro on site to overview the game for anyone who's never played before. And you don't need prior experience to be out there and enjoy yourself. The paddles and the pickleballs will be made available to use for free. Cost to play, though, is $50 to benefit the charity. All players get a swag bag from TrueMark and all PHLY. So if you do want to get involved as far as your company sponsorships, you can do that by having your logo on display with a variety of sponsorships there, starting with $200 to $1,000 to get involved with this great charity. Even if you don't want to play, though, you can still support the event. Food, beer trucks will be on site. Percentage of the proceeds will go to charity, and there will be music, cornhole, other lawn games, 50-50 raffles, more fun prizes, and giveaways as well. So if you're going to be there, we hope you are. If you're not, we hope that you can make it out to another event, or just simply be a part of it and donate as well. Best part, as a PHLY fan, you get 10% off discount on registration. Just register at truemark.com/PHLY pickleball.
We also want to make sure we tell you about Rugged Road. Now, I did not get quite as much opportunity to sample this product as I wanted to. I didn't get a chance to throw it off of a boat and see if it actually floats and stays upright. But that's only because somebody else in the studio took it before I had a chance to claim it.
How dare they?
How dare they? Rugged, especially since I spent so much time on the show saying I was going to do that.
Right.
Like, come on, man.
Right.
Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. One of the most unique features of Rugged Road coolers is their ability to always float upright, so you never lose a drink. This is specifically what I wanted to try out on my camping trip. They are a lightweight design. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. They're crafted to handle the toughest environments. Their coolers are built to last, ensuring they can keep up with any adventure. The coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days, but oftentimes much longer than that. They're perfect for a variety of outdoor activities, from fishing and tubing to camping and tailgating. These coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code PHLY for 10% off.
All right. And for this one, as we keep it moving here on the Buy Sell show here today, throw this one out there. First Joel Embiid question. Not much context I'm going to add. Just leave it open for you guys. Joel Embiid, will he, buy or sell, be under 30 points on average this season? The only context I'll add is, in a good way, the reasons why Kyle and Derek talk about him being under that 30. That's the only context I'll add to buying or sell Embiid under 30 points on average this season. He finished last year with 34. He was in that 33 range for a good part. He moved up to 35, where he was leading the league until he did not qualify anymore because of the injury. But on average, buying or selling, Embiid under 30 points per game this upcoming season.
He's scoring 30 points a game again. I just like, as much as we talked about the Olympic experience, as much as we're saying Paul George is not Tobias Harris, we're expecting a Maxey breakthrough, I still think he's the guy, right? And I still think, especially when you look at regular season success, right? Like, we'll worry about the playoffs when we get to the playoffs and how they need to set up and how they need to play there. There are just a lot of teams that are starting or bringing backups off the bench at center that Joel looks at and is like, I'm going to make it my mission tonight to just torture this bozo. Like, there are not a lot of Nikola Jokic type guys in the league. They're not, and he tortures him. So not even a good example. There are just not a lot of guys who are individually designed to stop him. And with the way the regular season works, it's not like when they get into round 2, or even last year, round 1 against the Knicks, round 2 against Boston, round 2 against Miami, where teams are from the ground up designing a 7-game game plan to stop this guy. It's like, hey, it's the 3rd game in 4 nights for team on the road. And hey, there's Joel Embiid. And we just have to deal with him with, I don't know, like in the past, like Cody Zeller is our best option against this guy. There are a lot of matchups like that around the league. I still think, end of the day, while he's going to maybe scale it back a little bit, right? I don't think he's going to put up the Wilt Chamberlain pace numbers that he was putting up last season before he got hurt. But I do think that he is still going to be one of the most effective, one of the most dominant scorers in the league. I think that is his best attribute on offense, right? It's not the playmaking. He's not a dominant rebounder on the offensive end, certainly not as much of a rebounder as a lot of people would hope. And as much as I would like to see him shoot a ton of threes and get more threes up to help the team in that way with spacing, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Joel Embiid gets the ball, does his thing, and he's the featured player. So I'm buying 30 plus again. I'm selling. If you're asking if you will be under 30 points a game, I will sell that. Yeah.
Now, to your point about, there being so many centers in the league, and just he looks at it and says, I'm going to cook you. You have no chance. It's like when Jamie comes up and tries to trash talk about Papa Shot, Kyle and I get something in our eye. Like, there's no chance, buddy. We are going to cook you.
It's like Rudy Gobert has won $8 million Defensive Player of the Year, and Joel drops 40 on his head. Yeah. It's like, once you get down to some of these other guys, it's just, they don't have a chance against this guy, and he knows that.
My hope is he's somewhere in the 30 to 32, maybe 33 range. That would be a drop of like 2 or 3 points per game. I think that would be progress in the right direction. But expecting like a drop of 5 or 6, I'm just not sure I can go there. In part because he is going to have nights where he knows he's got it going, where he wants to put up big numbers, and where he's going to have a matchup that they have no chance. So I think I will go over there, but I hope that at least the direction that you're indicating is correct, that he's going back towards sort of that level of usage rate and just trusting and relying on Maxey and Paul George. But I think that probably ends up looking more like 30, 31, 32, not 27, 28.
Phil is already complaining that I want Embiid to shoot more threes. So he's a Kelly Oubre guy who doesn't like bigs that shoot threes. Congratulations, buddy. 1991 would love to have you.
There's a nice mix here in the chat, though, responding to the question. And as you started to lay it out, Derek, you followed it up. Like Smy Guy says, he rolls out of bed with 30 and 10. Yeah, we know. He's that good. He's that easy. And the centers that they throw out, the backup centers, he looks at them and it's like, I mean, Larry Bird used to say, you really putting this white guy on me? And Joel Embiid looks at these guys. It doesn't matter.
It's one of the great Larry Bird things where he's like saw some white guy across from him. He's like, seriously, damn, you're disrespecting me.
And Joel looks at these backups, or even a lot of the starters, like, really? This is what you're going to do to try to slow me down? I see Elaine Bruno, 27, 15, and 15. We know that part is a joke, but to your point of elevating that rebounding number closer to that 13 that we saw in 2017, 18, 2018, 19, where he was just 28 and 14 boards with 2.5 blocks, as someone else mentioned here in the conversation. So Michael, our buddy Mike B says if he doesn't go under that 30, they don't win, because if you're averaging 30, it's because you're trying to average 30.
Here's where, and look, I've been a big advocate for Joel scale back, Joel play make more, all that. 30 plus could be Joel's getting easier shots and looks and touches because Tyrese Maxey and Paul George being on the floor at the same time draws so much attention that Joel can get those duck-ins, that Joel can get a deep post touch in the first 6 seconds of a possession. And he doesn't have to worry about, hey, I'm setting up at the nail and I'm going to isolate and I'm going to dribble for. Just because he hits a certain number does not mean that the offense has gone awry, right? Now, I think we would probably all agree that if he plays that way, if he does play how we've seen in the past where it's just jab step, jab step, jab step, 10 seconds go by. All right, now I'm going to kick it back out. Now I want the ball back. Like, I don't think that is conducive to high level, championship level success. Frankly, it hasn't been conducive to second round success. So that part I agree. But making it a arbitrary number is where I think the train goes off the tracks a little bit. Like, do I want Joel to score less? Yes, but it's not because I want him to not get the ball. It's because I just want it to be an organic, free-flowing type of thing. If he gets 30 and some of it is just like quick hitter pass from Paul George, quick pocket pass from Tyrese Maxey, he goes up, scores a layup, there's absolutely nothing that is holding the team back if that's what's happening.
Yeah, and I agree on that one. And again, the conversation, once again, the guy's so good. We saw it years ago where he did average that lower number under 30, and he was still so dominant with the rebounding and the 2.5 block shots. We also know that was a different weight. Yeah, and the injuries, there were less injuries. He had injuries, but there are less injuries to where he is right now and what they are probably going to need from him. And the Olympic experience that you mentioned, I mean, he might find ways to be a little bit more efficient, but he's so good that number is just going to be over 30. He's just going to be over 30, and that's just the case. But I am intrigued, though, by, again, Paul George saying at that press conference, we don't want him isolating at the top of the key like that,
and that's the key.
As much. So I cannot wait to see to the question and the answers that they gave, you guys gave in the chat. I want to see what that looks like. I really cannot wait to see what that looks like. Less isolation, more of the ball movement. Does his numbers and the assists go up a little bit just because as a result the ball is popping?
And I just can't wait to see how Nick Nurse approaches this. Like Nick Nurse, he's thought of as a defensive guy because, quite frankly, in Toronto he had pretty shit offensive personnel. But before he got there, like, he was credited early on in Toronto with revolutionizing their offense. Well, now he's got more options, and crucially, options that fit together and have different ways that they can attack. It's just going to be really interesting what he diagrams up. Last year he had that Harden trade in September, which was great for us. We got a lot of content out of it, especially when we were starting a new company and didn't really know how to do this whole talking thing. But
speak for yourself. I talk just fine.
The whole podcasting thing. Let's say. But he didn't have a whole lot of time to really prepare. So now he has months and months and months to sit here and diagram stuff up. It is going to be really interesting to see how he approaches it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, next question that we throw out here, buy and sell. Buy and sell in that this is the roster that we see after the trade deadline as we get ready for the postseason. Just because of what they talked about the KJ Martin piece.
I'm just selling everything today.
I'm selling that one.
It's a fire sale.
Yeah, but it's because a lot of people look at it and say, well, what else can they do? Yeah. What could they possibly do to this roster when you talk about a big name maybe coming in and adding to it? So as you're selling, why are you selling? Why are you selling on this one? Because of the fact that, again, the roster is deep, but what else could they possibly realistically fit in? That's going to be a key part, because if we're talking about it, it's probably, as you say, in selling, it's probably going to be something that's really significant that they add to this roster.
There is no shot Daryl Morey thinking that the team has a title window, having signed Paul George in the offseason, does nothing before the trade deadline.
Well, there's just also just no
significant?
Yeah,
okay.
Significant.
Okay.
There's also just no shot that he is going to have this, rare opportunity with the KJ Martin human trade exception, along with four first-round picks they still have to trade, and just let that expire. Mm-hmm. Like, he looks at this, because, all right, I have stuff that I can match salary with. I have first-round draft picks I can trade. I'm pretty confident he's going to make a trade at the deadline, and I think has a chance of being significant. Yeah.
Yeah. I just look again. We talked about it leading into the Paul George signing. One of the advantages of signing a guy outright rather than trading for Jimmy Butler, trading for Brandon Ingram, trying to finesse some kind of LeBron thing if he had left LA, was to keep all those picks to move. And I think everyone is clear-eyed about the idea that I think next year, frankly, is probably the more realistic. Like, they might win a title because you get the year's worth of reps between the three stars. You get probably some more continuity if Caleb is still here, if Kelly is still here, if whoever from the supporting cast, whoever they might get if there is a big deadline acquisition. And so maybe it's not like all in one guy, like unloading
just as an
3 picks for whoever. But I do think that part of the reason you get Paul George is so you can make this type of move at the deadline. You sign KJ Martin to that balloon deal almost specifically to move him at this deadline and get some type of deal done. So is it going to be a superstar? No. Is it going to be an impactful, meaningful addition? I think so. And I think all signs point to they will make a meaningful move between now and February.
Okay. All right. That one was easy enough as we run through that one. By the way, real time with Prince Blue Super Chat. Thank you as always. Buy or sell 20 straight makes on Pop-A-Shot.
Do we have a timer on this? If you just tell me, can you make 20 in a row without putting a timer on it?
No way.
Yeah, I think I can do that.
No. One of them's missing.
Not every time, but like once, like every now and then. Yeah, I think I could hit 20.
Okay.
If there's no time, because when I screw up, it's left or right.
I don't think I can hit 20. I'm confident in my shooting, but I don't think I can hit 20 just simply because the rim is so small and all the weird stuff that goes with the 20 straight makes. That's a lot.
Now it's in your head too, so you'll think about it. If you're like, I made 6 in a row, it's getting toward 10, and there are a lot of consecutive makes to hit 100 plus and Pop-A-Shot though. So that's
if you're saying I can like repeatedly do that, no, but I think I will be able to do it once. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Thanks. Appreciate it, Prince, for the question. Final one, probably as we get ready to close things down here, time-wise, is this one's pretty simple, pretty easy, but still question because not only of his play, but elsewhere in the conference. Buying or selling Paul George makes the All-Star team yet again for the Eastern Conference.
So that would give the Sixers 3 All-Stars.
That would give them 3.
If the Sixers do well, Tyrese Maxey is going to get a lot of that credit as well.
And he did make the All-Star team last season as a member.
Can you give me something I would buy on, Devon? Could you just give me someone will get 1 point a game so I can just say I bought something today?
The other thing, in order to...
Or this is like recession type of stock market that we've had.
And the problem is there's so much depth on the wings.
And that's why I said
it's
not necessarily a lock, but he could be he's a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference where it might warrant it.
I'm gonna say sell.
I'm seeing sell in the.
It's tough to get a third one. I don't want to say the only because they could end up coming out like 41-14 or whatever and just get 3 All-Stars.
Top 2 seed, you might be able to do that.
The other way is if Joel Embiid misses time and they still are able to stay towards the top of the Eastern Conference and he's playing well. But I don't want to root for that, so I'm going to sell because I don't want to root for a Joel Embiid injury.
And in that case, Joel was voted in by the fans, part of the front court. Maxey gets in by the coaches, and as a result, same thing for Paul George.
I think unless you are prohibitively the favorite in the conference, like if they would have to be 45-10 or something ridiculous, like out in front of Boston, you have to clearly be the best team in the conference to get real 3rd star, all-star consideration. It's just not, you can't be 3rd or 4th in the East and get 3 all-stars.
Especially when the 3rd guy on the pecking order has to go against Brown and Tatum. Like there's just competition there.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Then again, he doesn't really care about the regular season and only plays like 1 out of every 3 games. So,
Now, helping Paul George, he's certainly a popular player, right? Especially with for whatever reason, there's the Zoomer generation like loves Paul George. It's like Carmelo Anthony's son. I've said it on the podcast before. He's like, Paul George is my GOAT. That's like, there is a contingent of younger fans that love Paul George.
Indiana, Oklahoma City stretch there. I could see where that makes sense.
So if he's competitive in the player vote and the media vote, there is a good chance on just the fan side that I'm pretty sure he's gotten lots of votes in the past. So we'll see. It's not quite as bad in the East, I don't think, but I'd have to go position by position or player by player, because you still have Giannis, you have the Boston guys, you have Jimmy Butler. I think family member related to the show will have an even better chance this year.
Include Julius Randle in that.
Julius Randle always
Paolo
gets
Banchero.
Yeah, so it won't be easy to get into the Eastern Conference All-Stars in general. I think it's even tougher when you're viewed as the third guy. Will
his season, though, at that point, warrant the discussion with all the people that you talked about?
That's the hope. Yeah, he was. Right. So, look, I've said it a million times on the show. Last year, he was a top 20 to 25 guy in the league, right? And so just based on roster sizes, that should be an all-star type of player. And he always in LA, at least last season, he played, I think, 70-something games, right? When Kawhi was hurt, it was up to him and James Harden to hold down the fort. When Kawhi was hurt in previous seasons, Paul George got to hold down the fort. And I think people viewed him favorably in that way. So I agree with what Derek said. If Joel is out of the lineup for whatever reason and they're still able to maintain, I think he will get a bump from that. But that's not an outcome any of us are hoping for. We're hoping to see as many games as possible with all three guys on the floor.
Yeah. No, I think he will play at an all-star level.
Yep.
I just don't think he will get voted in. And that's fine. Like I don't necessarily think, to your point, if they're playing at a Boston Celtics level, they might get consideration. Outside of that, because Joel Embiid will be voted in because Tyrese Maxey is such a popular figure and so cemented in his status here, and because it's just tough to get three. That's it. That's really it.
So that'll pretty much do it for us in the buy sell. Hope you guys had fun with that. We saw a lot of activity in the chat and appreciate it. And since Kyle wanted one to just simply say buy on it.
Also, and the chat's bringing this up, you have him motivated Tobias Harris to compete against. It's going to be tough for Paul George.
That's very true. He's going to get a lot of shots up there. Cade Cunningham going to give him an opportunity to make the All-Star team.
I hope nobody took that one seriously.
Kyle, real fast, buy, sell. Kyle Lowry, Nick Nurse's guy.
I'll definitely buy that. All right, for cool. Sure.
Let's get ready to get to the roll call here at the end of the show on the Monday as we start things off, as I threw a layup there to Kyle to close things up.
I don't want to be the sell guy, right? I'm not trying to. This isn't a bear market. We're believers in the Sixers. Phil W got mad at me because I said next year is probably a better year to win, but we are generally believers in this team and this core. They have 14 playable guys, so very excited for the season.
And before you get started, just because of where we are, just want to let everybody know again, make sure with the Eagles season getting underway that you go and sign up to become a diehard member. Here. Join and you get a lot of perks as part of the diehard post-game shows, premium written content for members at allphly.com. You don't want to miss it. Fran Dunphy now part of the group with Bo, Zach, and Les Bowen. Season getting underway. The shows are already dope. We hope that you enjoy those. 20% off events, dope merch, and we even have a new PHLY locker, updated PHLY locker.
Well, it's not PHLY locker anymore. It's got a whole new name.
It does have a whole new name. We'll tell you that in a second. Free shirt when you do become a member, and the members-only Discord. So we thank you. We appreciate it. I'll tell you what the locker name is as Kyle runs off as we start off our roll call here.
Curious if he's going to shout out one person or not.
I will not, because I can't hear him from up here in the clouds. Short man talking in the comments is all riled up. Sorry about that. I will shout out my guy, Phil W., who comes in here and is a little adversarial and also misunderstands what I'm saying sometimes. But Phil, I got love for you. I got love for Kelly Oubre's secret agent in the chat. Thank you for coming through. Thank you to Malcolm Carrington for coming through as always. Martian Lynch, the all caps king, coming through in here. We got Dave Dewar. We got Jay.
What up, Dave? What up, Jay?
We got Jess. We got Prophet One.
Jess.
Real time with Prince Blue.
Thanks for the super chat.
Who said Kyle sold me Olive Garden bread last week wearing that visor. I don't think I've set foot in an Olive Garden since I actually can tell you the exact last time.
I think that happened after you left to take your call.
That
I think
was,
the whole
that was
Olive
the Chet
Garden.
Holmgren stuff? Yeah.
There was an
after
Olive
you
Garden
left.
discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, they said Chet Holmgren.
I
looks
have
like
not been there
Olive
since
Garden
I stopped at
breadsticks.
a Niagara Falls Olive Garden during the Toronto series when I drove to Toronto from Philadelphia, and that's a whole
Well, the whole thing was
story for another day.
he looks like the Olive Garden breadsticks. Chet
Who
Holmgren.
does? Chet Holmgren. Oh,
That was
right.
the joke.
I
Yes.
do remember that.
Yes.
Thank you for the reminder. Shout out to my guy Eugene Ross, king of the exclamation point, to Bootzilla.
Boots.
To my girl Winona.
Hey, Nona.
Michael B checking in from overseas. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Mike?
Eden the Remix was super active today. Shout
Gotta
out to
remix that
Eden.
one right there.
We got Smy Guy. We got You Better Love Somebody.
To love somebody, love somebody, love somebody.
Jeffrey Stewart, who loved the visors but was skeptical of my dunking ability. Buddy, I told you that ability left a long time ago.
Check out the Cavs, as always.
It is in a far-flung universe. Not this one currently. Thank you to Mr. Sandman. Thank you to our guy, Al, the 2-minute warning, if I didn't shout
What
him
up,
out
Al?
already.
Checking in.
What is up to Al indeed? All right, everybody, let's get the heck up out of here. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. If you hit the thumbs up button, I'll still be here. And that bozo who's talking trash in the comments probably won't be. Thank you to Andrew for producing today.
You want the story?
Brianna is back.
Bree is back.
I believe
Bree's
as
back
of tomorrow.
Okay.
So Bree will be back. Everyone, actually, that's who you give a real thumbs up for.
Yeah.
Bree coming back
She
from
needed a
vacation.
vacation.
Well-deserved, well-earned vacation for all the 8,000 emergency shows that she produced and led all summer. But thank you to Andrew and the rest of our team here.
Some gear like you see on the shirts here and
we
the
go.
hat, it is store.allcitynetwork.com.
There you go. So that's the new link for the new store.
I guess a slight
If you wanted
little
to,
bell.
you
Little
could
bell.
buy Dallas merch, but I doubt any of you want to do that. So
DLLS, welcome.
check that out. But thank you to the rest of our PHLY production staff for holding it down while Bree has been away. We will catch you guys tomorrow at 3 o'clock sharp.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.
Yeah, that guy was just looking for a fight.
He's being a douchebag.
Yeah.
So he gets no.